joining us from. My name is Payal Tandon. I will be your host today in this Coach Connect session, in which we're going to take up your questions and address your questions one by one. I already have Akshat's question with me, and I'm going to take it up. What we do in sessions such as this one, which is an open-ended session, is that we take your queries and we basically do your account analysis real time, give you feedback as to how you are doing, if you need to change anything in the way you are progressing with your GMAT prep, or just give you a thumbs up that you are doing well, so that you take that positive reinforcement and make sure that utilize that towards your GMAT prep. So let's get started here, Akshat. I'm going to change the screen. So I'm going to change the pod here so that you can then see my screen, and I'm going to log into Akshat's account. And here is his question. Let me first share his question here. Notes. All right. So this is the question that Akshat has asked. I'm seeking guidance in critical reasoning portion, completed inference, comfortable with it. After that, started with assumption, but I'm getting confused with finding falsification question. How can I make it strong? From where should I practice more to get better clarity? Now, how many of you, and let me get a poll here, how many of you are done with CR? So, or aren't? Yeah, so tell me, how many of you are done preparing for CR? Okay, so I see uh, let's view. Karthik is not done, lab is done. Okay, how about Parth and Akshat? I know is working on CR. Okay, all right, that sounds good. Lab, I would like to look at your account as well. So if you could share your email address, that would be good. But first, let's look at Parth's account. I'm going to change the pod here so that you guys can look at the screen. Okay, so here it is. So you guys should be able to see my screen. Please type in the chat pod that you are able to see my screen, although I am not able to see my screen right now. Hold on one second. Yeah. Yeah, you guys should be able to see the screen, right? Good. So, Akshat, first of all, you have not created your study plan. Why can I? So, how do I know that? Because over here, I typically see what are the activities that are going on for you for this particular week, but I don't see that. So, that's feedback number one. Please create your study plan. Okay. Now, let's look at the hours that you've spent. It's little less than what I would have wanted, little less, and not little less, quite less than what I would have wanted. I usually like to see about 20 hours here if you are a working professional. If not, if you are preparing full time, then I would like to see about 35 to 40 hours. So, Akshat, are you a working professional? If you are, then I do want to see 20 hours here, about 20 hours. I'm good with 16 to 20 hours. Okay. So that's another feedback for you. Okay. So two feedback points already. Create your study plan. Very, very important, because that keeps you honest with regards to where you are at and where you need to go. Number two, put in more hours. Okay. So let's go into your CR now. Before that, I'd like to see how you've done your master comprehension. Seems like you have not finished it. I'm okay with that, because whatever you have, usually I like to see 100% completion, but the kind of files you've skipped, I'm okay with it. Not too excited about it, but this is where the problem is. Okay. Akshat, have you been looking at your journey view? Because journey view, so this is the default view of modules. This is what you see. Has the screen disappeared for you guys? Okay. Yeah, so journey view C grades here is really, really bad. Okay. What this tells me is that you are in the bottom 30 percentile, okay, of the test takers. And what that means is that the time that you're spending in learning this content, that time is not being utilized appropriately because you are not retaining, you're not learning the content enough to be able to retain that, such that you build the right kind of skill set, such that you build the right kind of neural connections, and that is a huge problem. Okay, now let's delve deeper into it. Just 1 second, let me just stop sharing here. 1 second here. The screen is glitching for me. Yeah. So what I see over here is, let's look at this. B grade, C grade. So premise and conclusion, these are very, very critical files. What you see here are median scores. Now you're scoring way below the median score, and that is not good at all. And that's how these grades are being determined, right? So, so you can observe over here that, you know, you scored a 29% on a file in which the median score is 64. And that really tells me that you are, when you're studying for CR, your heart is not in the course. You are distracted, you are somehow just going through the motions, and that is what, when I see such grades, that is a very solid indication of this kind of behavior. Secondly, over here you are skipping files. When you say you are done with inference and you're comfortable with it, you have actually skipped these files because these are critical files. I mean, every file that you see in the course is there for a reason. Each and every file, each and every question in the course serves an intent. And the fact that you have skipped these files over here, inference practice files 1, 2, and 3, tells me that you, again, you have then not met the intent of going through the course. Okay. And I see similar thing over here, wherein you move to evaluate module even before you finish the assumption module. And let's go into the module view, because there you'll get a better idea of what I'm talking about. So you can see over here, you haven't done the application file for, you have not done these practice files, which means whatever you learned in the inference module, you haven't really taken that learning to its completion. Okay. Then when you came into assumption, you skipped this comparison file, pre-thinking concept 4. You didn't do the segment file appropriately, you haven't done the application file here, you haven't done the practice files here, and you move to evaluate. So I'm not sure why is it that you are studying in this manner. And I've stopped sharing my screen, and let's come back to the discussion mode over here. So tell me, what is going on? Why are you doing the course in an ad hoc manner? Akshat? Do you want to talk? I can enable you, so I can give you speaking rights here. So guys, it's important to go through the course in the manner that the course expects you to. Because if you're skipping stuff, okay, then you're not really, then you are defeating the entire purpose. Okay, so, but tell me what is going on, and let me give you mic rights so that you can, 1 second here. Hmm. Absolutely, Manan. I will help you out over here. Why can I not give you access? Absolutely, Parth. I will be able to do that. Um, Allow participants. Yes. So, so Akshat, you can actually access the mic. So, yeah. So you can. So why don't you go ahead and tell me what's going on? Because again, whatever Akshat has, whatever we have seen in Akshat's account, that's not, I know I don't like to see such accounts, but that's not unusual, which is where I want to understand why is it that you took those decisions as you were going through the course. So Akshat?
Yes, ma'am. I thought that
Yes.
like after completing inference, I will get better time to solve this application file which contain question of and time around 25 minutes, so that I skip that
Mm-hmm.
application files and started
Mm-hmm.
assumptions.
Ah, okay. So if I understand you correctly, you actually left these files to be done later so that you can get practice. Is that what you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please don't do that. I know we have this mindset, and this is something which is very important for everybody. Okay. We have this mindset that let's do all the concepts first. Okay. And then we'll leave the practice to later. Okay. Because I believe that is how we have studied in our school, in our schooling years. But that is not the right way to build your skills. Okay. When you're learning critical reasoning, it's not about solving questions, it's about building those neural connections so that when you see a critical reasoning argument, you know how to read that argument, you know how to process it, you know how to look at the answer choices, how to rethink, and so on and so forth. That requires building of new neural connections in your brain. And there is a reason why we go through, there's a reason why the course is structured the way it is structured. And and this is important for everybody. So let me just share the screen again and tell you the basic fundamental principle behind how the course is structured. Okay, so that when you make the decision of skipping certain files, you understand how detrimental that decision is. So let's look at the foundation concepts here. Here we are not talking about anything related to we are not talking about anything related to solving assumption questions or inference questions. We are simply talking about how is it that given an argument you understand the basic building blocks. What is a premise, what's a conclusion, what are intermediate conclusions, how do you identify that, so on and so forth, right? So here you have to be completely immersed in this content to be able to understand what does it mean for for an argument to be an argument. Okay, now, when you come to inference, you are stepping away from an argument and you're going into a single statement. Okay, and what you're saying is, if what is given is that Ron is the tallest boy in his class, what other information could be true if, or must be true if this statement is true? So you're dealing with a single statement and you're drawing those inferences from it. Okay, impact of only and all. Now you're looking at those contextually critical words and you're understanding what does it mean when it says that all the boys are shorter than Ron. Okay, so again, what does that all imply over here, right? Impact of some, impact of most, impact of the. Now, why are these words important? Because when you see these words in a sentence, in a complete CR argument, at that time, it should right away hit you that most is present here, which means I'm talking about more than 50%, right? So automatically those linkages should have been created in your mind if you went through these files in the manner that these files are intended to be gone through. Okay, then you come to learning visualization. Here what we are talking about is, given multiple statements, how is it that you should link these statements together? How is it that you should draw those maps? How is it that you should look at numbers here, right? So we talk about that. Then we talk about, given in the first three files, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, you actually had single statements. Now in 2.5, you are drawing inferences from more than one statements. Okay, and as you can see, we are actually building up your ability step by step, starting from a single statement, looking at those contextually important words, and then going into multiple statements. And then practice quiz 1 and 2, we are still not talking about CR inference questions. We are right now still in the realm of building that ability on small arguments. Okay, then comes application 1, 2, 3, 4. In these four files, we are now teaching you how do you put it all together in the context of a typical CR argument. Okay, now you are going from single statement to multiple statement to simple questions into CR arguments, which are not that complex at this stage, because We are teaching you skills bit by bit. And then inference practice file 1, 2, and 3, this is where you're putting all of that together to now see how well can you solve these questions on your own. Okay. Only after you finish this, you move on to assumption files, which again over here in these 5 files over here, we are teaching you the very concept of how is it that you should even think about, pre-thinking an assumption. Okay, how is it that you should identify logical gaps? How is it that given an argument, you should be able to think about the segments that are present there, right? So on and so forth. And then you put it all together in these application files, and then you do the practice. Okay. Now, the complexity level over here in these questions is not high. These are medium difficulty level questions, some even easy questions. That is by design. Why? Because we are right now building those neural connections in your mind. Now when you go into, then you continue on with evaluate, strengthen, weaken, following the same thing. Then you go into medium cementing over here, which is where you now solve. We teach you the process of cementing, then we teach you how is it that you should be, practice thinking about, solving these questions. So we are slowly increasing the difficulty level of questions, and then you go into hard cementing. So when you look at this entire architecture over here, you see why it is important for you to not skip anything. Okay, there is a reason, there's a lot of thought put into why each file belongs at a certain position, why file 3.2 is not file 3.5. There is a specific reason for that. Okay, so when you disrupt that reason, when you disrupt that flow, that's when you are now creating huge problems for yourself. Okay, so what I tell my students, all of you are very hardworking. Okay, I just want you to come from your side. What I want you to do is commit your time, create your study plan, commit your time to it, and then make sure that you show up. And when you show up to prepare, make sure that you trust us with the sequence in which you have to do the preparation, because that's our job. Our job is to give you all the content that is required for you to prepare the right way. Okay, your job is to consume that content in the right way. Does that make sense, everybody? Is this helpful, first of all? Because I think half the job is done. If you know the intent behind why is it that you have to do certain things a certain way. Okay. All right. So Akshit, multiple things for you. I want you to make sure that you, first of all, create your study plan. And let me write this down over here. Uh, create your study plan. Then I would say do the course again. And then you have to commit the hours. Commit to the hours, 20 hours at least per week, and make sure that you show up. Okay. And then lastly, I want you to resume the course, start the course, start CR from the beginning. So with this right intent, your goal should be to score A or A minus, no less than that. Every content item that you are interacting with in the course, you have to make sure that you are completely immersed in it. Okay, another thing that I'm going to tell you, because we're talking about how is it that you should be going through a course, if a certain file says 25 minutes to finish the file, that's just a guidance. Okay, that is just a guidance for you, that majority of people who were at your level took 25 minutes to go through this file. That does not necessarily mean that you need to finish that file in 25 minutes. You can take 50 minutes to do that file. That's absolutely fine. Time that you are spending on each content item is immaterial. Utilize that guidance over there purely as guidance, not as a thing for you to control. Okay, is that point clear? Because many a time students tell me that this file was supposed to take 25 minutes, but I'm taking 40 minutes. Is that okay? It's absolutely okay. As long as you are scoring those A minus and A grades, A minus or A grades. Okay, as long as you're doing that, I'm absolutely fine with that. And the way to do that is to be completely immersed in the content that you are going through. Does that help? Everyone clear with that? Okay. Let me take up, Sagnik is here, so I'll take up Sagnik's account because I already have his question over here. Okay. And here is his question. Yes, I have that, Sagnik. This is Sagnik's question, and let me increase the size here. Currently, I'm going through CR module. Sometimes it gets a bit monotonous. Should I do a mix of quant and CR or stick to CR only? What would others respond over here? Given what I've talked about, given the fact that I'm hoping all of you have gone through getting started course, what would be your recommendation to Shagnik? I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Is it Sagnik or is it Shagnik? And finish CR first as each builds on the previous skill. Absolutely. Absolutely. Will it get monotonous, love? How do you deal with the monotony of it? Or did you guys also feel that going through CR course only was monotonous? And while you guys respond, I'm opening Sagnik's account. One second. Okay. Okay, I see that you guys are still typing here. All right. Okay, I'm going to start sharing the screen and just, okay. All right. So, um, no study day. I like what I see over here, first of all. What I like over here is that you are utilizing your planner properly in the sense that you put in no study days here. I can see that you've put in 6 hours here. I'm hoping that you were compensating for that. Let's see how much time you actually spent. Last week you spent in the last 7 days you spent 12 hours here. I can see that you're spending it on CR. Now, this, when I see 6 hours every day during weekdays, that raises a question in my head that are you preparing full time or are you a working professional? So that is a question which I would want you to answer because it's not realistic for a working professional to be able to spend 6 hours every day to prepare for the GMAT. Okay. Now let's go over here. So that's a question which I'll ask you, but first let's go into master comprehension. A grade, that's good. Let's look at CR here. CR, the first thing I do is how is it that you're going through the course and you are still in learning level 0, which is the foundational learning level, and you are scoring grade B, which means you are at median level. Okay. It's not too bad, but when I go into your, as I said, I want to see A grades here. Okay. Now, when I look at this is good. You're spending good amount of time. This is nice. Now, this is where my problem is that you're not giving yourself sufficient time to absorb all the content. So whatever I told to Akshat, similar stuff applies to you as well. I see you spending time. I see that you are scoring well. Actually, let me see here. What were your first time grades? Because that's very important here. So inference here. So you're scoring. So what this tells me is whenever you're working, you are serious about what you're doing. But there's something that you're doing over here which is kind of not making sense to me. For example, why did you skip these files over here? Why did you not go through the entire application module over here? Why is it that you're doing these files out of sequence? Why are you skipping things? Okay, that doesn't make sense to me. So from your account, what it tells me is that you had a jittery start here, not that jittery. I'm okay with this. Okay, but when you came into inference module, you started to focus a lot more, but there are certain decisions that you're making that don't make sense to me. Okay, so that is what I want to understand from you, Shagnik. What's going on? Why are you making those decisions?
Actually, just as I mentioned, it got a bit monotonous. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
So I think the later practice files, right, the inference practice 1, 2, and 3, I just went on to see what are those files exactly. So I didn't solve them. So I wanted to use my head, yeah, right? So
Mhm.
that's
Why
how
the
I.
curiosity? No, why the curiosity? What will be in those files? It's a practice file. There's going to be a bunch of questions, right?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
but the as far as like my profile is concerned, with regards to this, I think I'm progressing a bit in the right direction because previously when I was preparing for the second time, so previously when I was preparing, that direction was not right. You know, I had put in
Mhm.
the hours earlier, but that direction was missing. So I wanted to know that if I'm going and progressing the right way.
You're progressing the right way. As I said, when you are focused, when you are preparing on a file level, you are integrated in the file, you are immersed in the file, and that's really good. And that's a big difference between what your account tells me and what Akshat's account told me, right? And we could tell that, there is that sense of lack of understanding on 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 Akshat's behalf as to what is the role of that file. And I can understand that completely, right? And I'm pretty sure that after this session, he's going to completely focus on the files and get those A and A minus grades, right, Akshat? Okay. But in your case, Shagnik, you you're getting a bit impatient. And I don't understand why that is the case. Okay, there are what you're saying, it wasn't monotonous. Many a times there were new concepts which were missed in the process. We follow fine details which can help a lot. Rushing will not. Okay, oh, that's what Manan is saying. Okay, sorry. Sorry, thank you, Manas. Yeah, Manan. So again, Shagnik, you have to just stay completely focused on it. Trust the process. Understand that there is a reason why more than 60% of all 700 scores that are posted are by e-GMATers. There is a reason for that. Okay, trust the process. We are completely invested in your success. Okay, all I ask you to do is show up with full diligence. That's it. That's all I expect you to do. Rest, leave everything to us. We are going to give you feedback. As long as you just commit to those hours, those 20 hours that you, and again, you have committed to way too many hours. Okay,
Yeah.
I hate to see that you've committed to 36 hours or 40 hours, but you're able to show up only for 12 hours, because that gives you a negative feedback in a way that, oh, I needed to do that, but I've only been able to do 12 hours. Imagine being able to show up for 12 hours when you had planned for 18 hours. That's a very different feel versus being able to show up for 12 hours whereas you had planned for 40 hours. Okay, that's a huge gulf, right? And you always feel that I'm always playing catch up. I don't want you to feel that. So be realistic about your goals. In fact, I want you all to go to LinkedIn today. The post that I have, and I'll share the link right now, the post says exactly that you need to have realistic goals. Okay, and yeah, so all right, now secondly, just focus on whatever is on hand and just go through that. Okay, so all right, Shagnik. Hmm.
Ma'am, just one last thing. Just as you
Sure,
mentioned
sure.
that just as you mentioned, I'm getting a bit impatient. So that is with
Mhm.
regards to the learning process. Am I taking it too fast, or should I like just give it some more time in that case?
See, I don't too fast. I don't think, because when I look at your account, you're spending the right amount of time. Okay.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is focus on learning. Don't focus on the time that it's taking for you to learn. Everybody learns at a different pace. Okay. You may be, and as Lav said, and as Manan said, you have to, it's all skill building. And as I explained, there is a reason why. So preparing for GMAT is not a linear process. Okay.
Hmm.
It's a step by step process. And you will see some steps for you will be much harder to you for you to navigate. Some steps you'll be able to just jump through. Okay. And that just varies from person to person. It varies from how much effort will it take for you to build those neural connections. So just give it the time. And as I'm saying, trust the process.
All right.
I am 100% sure if you focus on the file that you're working on, and if you just don't understand the intent behind every file, and that every file is a stepping stone towards the next file, you will be good. Because your focus when you are on a file is good. I think it's just when you're transitioning from one file to another, you're getting a bit impatient. Don't do that.
Ma'am,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. So for you, I'll say create realistic goals and trust the sequence. Okay. All right. So next, look at. I want to read Manan's comment over here, and I want everybody to also pay attention to that. Many a times there are new aspects which were missed in the process we follow, fine details which can help a lot. And this is a very, and thank you, Manan, for sharing that. It's a very important thing to understand that when we are dealing with those, as I said, every question has a particular intent, right? There is a reason why those statements exist, because we know people will falter. The majority of people will falter on those statements, so we are preempting that, and we are kind of telling you this is the way to think about it. In pre-thinking, all the those frameworks that are given to you, logical gap, segments, comparisons, quant, right, two entities, those are frameworks that we have come up with based on our review of the variety of arguments that exist in the GMAT content. And frankly, those are all very realistic arguments as well, right? So when we are so what we are doing is we are helping you identify those structures even before you start to see those structures in the exam environment, right? Which means when you're looking at that from that angle, you will inadvertently make some mistakes, and that's okay. Okay. But what's not okay is to skip over those mistakes and think, oh, I'll take care of that later. Oh, it's a silly mistake, I'll take care of that. Oh, this may not come later. Which is why it's very important to have that razor sharp focus that I am going to get no less than A minus grade. Okay, that is something which I want everybody to follow. Does that make sense, everyone? Yes. All right, then rushing will not help. If it gets boring, take a small break of 12 minutes. Absolutely. And I like the precision over here, Manan. Take a small break of 12 minutes, resume, but finish that particular file. And there is a very solid scientific backing towards that. Whenever you feel, and again, thank you, Shagnik, for being so honest about it, that you're feeling monotony over here. That monotony is a symbol, is always a signal of something. Okay, and again, what Manan is saying here makes complete sense. What happens is that when we are in complete focus mode, and that's something which I've already recognized in after looking at your account. When you're scoring those A grades in the file, that's telling me that you are completely immersed in that. But when you are in that focus mode for a certain amount of time, your brain starts to deviate automatically. That just happens to everybody. Okay, for me it may happen after, let's say, 40 minutes of focus time. For somebody else it may happen after 60 minutes of focus time, right? But whenever you have that kind of feeling that, okay, now I'm just reading through words and nothing is making sense, or I'm getting bored, you need to step away. You need to go in that diffused mode. You need to give your brain that relaxation time, that absorption time, wherein, you, for those 12 minutes or for those 15 minutes, you could be just staring at the wall, or you could be doing push-ups, or you could be, kind of maybe going playing an instrument that you like, doing anything, or going out for a walk, playing with your dog, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter what you do in those diffuse time, as long as you are not you're not sitting in front of the computer and staring at the screen. Okay. And that small break is actually the diffuse time, which can help you tremendously, because now what's happening is your brain gave you an indication that, look, you have overloaded me. Okay. I need some time off. Right. And during that diffuse mode, now the brain is automatically rearranging those connections that you already formed during that focus mode. Okay. So give your brain that time and then come back to the focus mode. Does that help? And in fact, Manan, you've given me a great idea, because this is something which is a scientifically backed thing, the focus mode versus the diffuse mode. So that's a very, and what you're practicing is going into that diffuse mode and then coming back into focus mode. Okay. And again, there is a very important thing with regards to how long of a break should it be. It shouldn't be a long break that you are now letting your neural connections go haywire, right? It has to be the right amount of break, right? So conscious break. Okay. All right. So next, let's see. I have. I had one more account that I'd like to take up. And I think this will apply to other people also. I know Gauri is not here in the session, but I will take her account because it will show us, so it'll help you understand what I mean by scoring A grades. All right. One second. So this is Gauri's account here. Again, I would want her to spend more time. 6 hours, 20 minutes is not enough time. So let's go back. Oh, not here. Sorry. CR. Look at this. This is what I mean. This is what your goal should be, scoring A minus, A minus, A. So what this tells me is that whatever she has learned. Now, this doesn't mean that in all the files you have to score A grades. I mean, you can have some dull moments, and that's absolutely acceptable. Okay. We cannot be in 100% performance mode all the time. But overall, keep checking your journey grades to make sure that you're scoring well. And you can see how she has gone through the course the right way. Everything is in sequence, nothing is skipped, right? Except for this one over here. I don't know why this one is in sequence, is out of sequence, but you can see everything she's done in a beautiful manner over here. Right now, there are some bad grades over here. Again, one question lost over here, but that's okay. Which is why I'm saying that overall you should be in that high performance, because what this tells me is that she is amongst the top 85 percentile of all students. Okay. So now let's see, where is she facing an issue? Issue is very evident. If we look at her CR, let's go to Scholarinium. Now, what this does is that if you are in the top 85 percentile, then your further progression becomes much easier. Okay. Now, her medium cementing is good, right? She has crossed medium cementing, but she's right now facing problems with hard cementing. And now, when I look at her medium cementing as well, I would have expected a much smoother progression. Okay, I would have given her grades, I would have expected that she should have crossed medium cementing within 3 quizzes itself. But there is something not quite right over here. And because she has not really passed medium cementing in the right manner, she's having huge problems with her hard cementing as well. So my recommendation to her would be to review her quizzes in a very, very sharp manner, do proper strategic review. And that, again, what you see over here is there are these questions in which she's taking excessive amount of time. Okay, so there is something not quite right with the way she's approaching these arguments. Okay, and again, even if she's gotten the question right, she took 40 extra seconds. Why is that the case? Again, these are medium questions, and she's done the course really well. So her neural connections are in place, but there is something going on in how she is approaching the process. Maybe she's getting too conscious of the process. She's not letting it go naturally, or she is losing the process in the race against time. Okay, any of this could be happening, which is where again doing a detailed error log analysis is very very important. Okay, now when so this is her medium cementing, so she needs to first fix her medium cementing. Now when it comes to hard cementing, once her medium cementing is fixed, then I am sure that her hard cementing will also fall in place. Okay, now what you can see over here is because her medium cement, she's not really mastered the content, mastered the process. Okay, that is why all of that is getting reflected in her hard cementing quiz as well. Okay, so there is no point in her doing hard cementing till the time she doesn't finish medium cement. Okay, now what have we learned here? This is what the reason why I showed her account, even though she's not here in the session, is that students face such problems. It's okay to face such problems, but the question over here is how do you get out of that? Okay, and for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this recording with everybody. This was done. Let me just get the link here. I think March 28th is when we had done this session. Um, 1 second. I want you all to go through this recording right after the session if you are facing problems with your with cementing phase. And I know a couple of you are facing problems with cementing phase. Now, in this recording, what we are doing is we are we are teaching you or pointing out where is it that you're going wrong when you're making error log entries. Okay, so what we had asked over here was we had asked students to give their error log entries to us. We reviewed those error log entries for one question. Okay, and we had asked them to record a detailed video as well, and we reviewed that and we gave them feedback that are you doing it the right way, are you precise enough, or do you need to change the way you are filling your error log, because that is the key. One thing that all of you need to understand is when you're going through the course, everything is given to you in a step by step manner. You simply have to follow along. Okay, not skipping anything, not being focused, right? But when you go into cementing phase, that is where a lot of introspection is required. Okay, and that is another skill that you need to possess. Okay, not just for GMAT, but for life in general. That when things are, it is, I mean, when we give you a medium cementing quiz, yes, we are creating that quiz for you. But where you are faltering, you have to question that yourself, and you have to be very very sharp about it. You have to be very you have to be hard on yourself. I don't want you to go easy when you on yourself when you're doing cementing. You have to be hard on yourself, and you have to tell yourself, why is it that I did not visualize the conclusion? Why is it that when I looked at those answer choices, I selected the one which was a very popular incorrect answer choice? Why did I do that? Okay, don't accept something as, oh, it's okay, it's just one question. No, each and every, you, if you are truly engaged in making sure that you learn in the right pace, then every question that you attempt, okay, you should be very, very specific about applying the process. When you're taking up that hard cementing quiz, you need to tell yourself, I am not going to let go of the process over here. I am going to make sure that I go through each and every step of the process. If I'm skipping certain steps, I need to remind myself, I need to pull myself back to make sure that I apply that process. And that checklist that you create is specific to you. I cannot give my checklist for Mohit could be very different from my checklist for Karthik. Okay, so that is where that introspection is required. And for that, the framework that you have is always the process. The process that you have learned in stage one, that is the process that you need to continue to apply in stage 2 and then in stage 3, such that that process becomes your own process that you apply in the exam environment. Is this point clear? Because this is very important. Understanding how to do cementing is very, very important, because that is the, when you are doing cementing, you're actually making that process your own, right? And that process could have a different manifestation for Mohit versus for Karthik, and I'm using their names because those names are showing up on my screen right now. Okay. All right. So any questions about this? Okay, so Manan, I will definitely, so share your email address with me, Manan. Let me look at your account. And in the meanwhile, let me look at Mohit's statement. I've been busy with some other stuff other than GMAT. I'll be getting back to serious study mode by tomorrow. Okay, Mohit, that's good. That happens. And it's good to recognize that it has happened with you. So what I would suggest to you is that don't pick up from where you left off. Okay, if you've had more than a week gap or more than 3 days gap as well, then you should revise first and then go move forward. Okay, for example, let's say if you were on pre-thinking file 3, okay, and there is a 3-day gap, don't resume from pre-thinking concept 4. In my opinion, go back to pre-thinking concept 1, so that you just, you know, revigorate your yourself, prime yourself to essentially um, look at the absorb the content. Okay. Mohit, there's an observation. Most students who are attending these sessions, a commonality is that most of us are struggling with hard level cementing. I had gone back to GMAT Club to practice more questions. Okay, that's interesting, Mohit. Oh, Mohit, you are the same Mohit. Sorry, I thought this. Okay. All right, that's why you were able to. Yes, okay. Okay. So Mohit, let me, I do want to understand that part. Okay. So, but let me first take a look at Manan's account. Okay. And then we'll come back to what your observation is. That's an interesting observation, and I do want to understand that a bit more. Okay. One second. I am opening Manan's account. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. All right. One second. Here. Okay. So let's go to CR. See, Mohit, that's the problem. Manan, that's the problem. Your journey grades are really bad, right? Which is why you're facing issues with medium cementing. So there's nothing extra that I can, nothing additional that I can tell you that I have not already told. So you were struggling, you barely passed medium cementing, and that's not a good sign. I would, yeah. So I'm not surprised that you're facing issues with hard cementing, because you haven't really honed into your process, Manan. And I'm surprised that you are. But, mm, see, here's what I would suggest: go back to the application files, okay, and reattempt those. Understand it's the process that is killing you right now. Yeah. Hmm. So tell me, Mohit, I'm sorry, Manan, you have access to the mic. Tell me what's going on. And you've been here, you've heard me talk about journey grades, you've heard me talk about failing in medium cementing. So tell me, what more can I add so that I can help you? What other information do you need from me?
Hello.
Yes, yes, Manan.
Hi, good morning, Payal. So the problem
Mm-hmm,
is that I've actually gone through the application files and all the concept
mm-hmm,
files a few too many times, and I already know
mm-hmm,
what the answer is going to be because I did a. So this is the second time I've taken the subscription. I took it
mm-hmm,
once before, and then I actually didn't complete it. I lost motivation and all of that. Second time I
mm-hmm,
knew that I had to be committed.
mm-hmm.
So then I ensured that I was giving enough time and going through each of them. So the problem is that just one or two of the questions were being missed.
Mm-hmm.
I knew
Mm-hmm.
that I will be able to catch up on that, and then later on, the problem is that I know what the answer is going to be in the application file questions or
Okay.
the concept file questions because I've
Mm-hmm.
already gone through it a few too many times. That's
Okay.
why I connected with Rida as well once before,
Mm-hmm.
during the medium cementing phase, and at that time took a different approach. I practiced a few OG questions in timed manner and at GMAT Club as well. So again, time manner and a few other questions just to check if I was the ability was there or not. So 70%
And
was
what did
being
you
matched
find?
in the result was that 70% was being matched. I was taking a lot more time than required, but that process was there. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt it's better to switch to medium cementing and then go on to hard cementing. But
Mm-hmm.
again, and
Mm-hmm.
I shared my error log with Rita as well. Now, but I
Mm-hmm.
still don't understand as to what the problem is and how I can solve it.
Okay. So it's good that I took your. So let me just stop sharing. Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting that you went to GMAT Club. You got that confidence that you have done well, and then when you came back to medium cementing, was that confidence shattered?
No, so I attempted two medium cementing quizzes. I knew that there was a
Mm-hmm.
problem. That's when I went
Mm-hmm.
to GMAT Club and I
Mm-hmm.
practiced a few OG questions. And then once the
And then.
and in the middle, I also focused on visualization because that was the problem that I was facing the most.
Mm-hmm.
So if the
Mm-hmm.
visualization was not correct, all the other steps
Mm-hmm.
after that will definitely be a problem. So I
Mm-hmm.
focused on that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I, to
And
a very
then.
decent extent, I felt that visualization was getting better. I was better
Okay.
at it. The reading was better. I was taking less time, and
Mm-hmm.
every statement was being. If I summarized them, I was able to do it in my own manner, and it was crisp.
Very good.
So it was not as long or as more worded as
Mm-hmm.
previously. Once I
Mm-hmm.
felt that I was better at visualization, I took the last medium semantic quiz, in which I was able to get a 70%. That's when I progressed
Mm-hmm.
to hard cementing because I felt that I can. First attempt was
Mm-hmm.
40%, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew that these two or three questions that I faltered on, I knew it before checking the results as well as to what the problem was. So I felt
Mm-hmm.
that I took a review. I felt that I was better, and I went to hard cementing. Clearly, there was something that I missed. Now that aspect, I don't know what it is.
Okay, let me share yours. Thank you for being so explicit here. So let me just share your last quiz, the one that you talked about. So and tell and help me understand if I correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so okay, so let's go back to your dashboard. So what you're saying is after this quiz, so which you took on 26 March, and this is a medium cementing quiz, you went to GMAT Club and you practiced some official questions. You worked on visualization. Then you came back and you attempted this quiz in which you scored 70%. You felt confident about it. And that's when you moved to hard cementing. And this is where you faltered over here. Okay. Now, the question is, why is it that you're faltering? If you feel that you have progressed over here in this medium cementing quiz in which you scored 70%, why is it that you are still faltering in hard cementing? And the answer over here is the answer lies in this quiz. There is still something not right in your process, and that is evident with this, this lit up chart over here, which shows excessive time. These are medium quizzes, right? Medium questions. Look, for majority of the questions, you're taking a lot longer than what median time is. You're getting some of them, you're getting correct, but look at the amount of time that you're taking to answer these medium difficulty level questions. So there is still, you haven't as yet honed into the exact problem, or maybe there were multiple problems, you were able to solve some of them, but there are still some problems that there are still some problems that you haven't been able to solve. Okay. Now, which is where, Manan, what I would recommend to you is look at the recording of the session that I've shared above. Okay. I want you to understand the right way to fill the error log. Okay. And then I want you to send me 2 error log entries for 2 of the questions in this medium cementing quiz. The one that, and for both the questions, you should have taken a lot more time, excessive time questions. Okay. Pick 2 questions. So first, step number 1, watch this recording that I've shared. Let me share it again over here. And this is for Manan. Watch this recording and then pick 2 questions from last medium cementing quiz and send me error log entries for that. Okay. And for this, I also want detailed video showing your thought process for strategic review for those 2 questions. Does that make sense, Manan? Because what we have to do over here is we have to understand where is it that you are still, why is it that you're still making mistakes? What part of the process, right? Maybe visualization has been taken care of to some degree. I don't expect that to have happened to the right degree, right? Maybe you're consciously visualizing, but maybe you're not going as far as you need to go. Okay, but that is what I want to figure out through these 2 questions for which you send me the detailed error log entries. Manan, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
Can
so
you
send
spell
that
your
to me.
email?
What is that?
Can you put your email in the chat box?
Yes, I can put my email here. What I will do is I will actually send you, let me send you the smart sheet form in which I want you to fill this out. Okay, because emails, I don't want things to get lost in the emails. Yeah, form. Coach Connect. Okay, here is the form that I want you to fill out. Okay. And I think I give instructions over here as well, what course this is. Yeah, I want the details of the question also. So you'll be able to follow that. Now, the Coach Connect sessions happen on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So on Thursday, I'm going to take up another error log review session. Okay. So the kind of session for which I've sent you the recording already, I'm going to repeat that session. Okay. And I'm going to take your videos over there. Okay, Manan? Okay. So let me take up parts now. All right. Okay, so we are already at the 1 hour mark here. So Parth, is there something, so Parth, again, we've already done quite a few account analysis part. So I want you to do that analysis on your own. Okay. And if you are struggling with hard cementing for CR and RC, I want you to do exactly the same thing that I told Manan. Watch that recording, fill out, give me error log entries, 1 for CR, 1 for RC, 1 question of CR, 1 question of RC, and then fill that in the smart sheet form. I will take up your cases in Thursday session. Okay, because there's nothing more that I can add at this point than what I have not already covered in this session. Does that make sense, Parth? Okay, so Karthik, you're talking about PSP here, capping you at 20 percentile, even though actual scores, see, are higher. This didn't happen with quant verbal. There is there is a specific reason as to why we cap those scores. Again, it's okay, Karthik. I don't want you to pay too much heed over it. Okay, reason being that whether it's 40 percentile or 20 percentile, you will still be able to, you still need to go through the course, right? And if your abilities are higher than what the PSP says for data insights, then you will be able to go through the course in a fast paced manner automatically. So don't worry too much about it. Okay, Karthik? All right. So with this, we're going to end this session here. I want to understand what these sessions mean for you. Are these valuable for you? What have you learned from these sessions? Do you want us to conduct such sessions on a regular basis? I want to just get some overall feedback from you all. Okay. And Mohit, do want to talk about the GMAT club aspect as well. Maybe we can take that up on Thursday, Mohit. Is that okay? Or maybe why don't you record a video for me and send that over, Mohit? Okay, because I do want to understand what your take on this is, and right. So please send me a video. Okay. All right. Yes. So overall feedback, guys. What do you think of what do these sessions mean for you? We are planning to conduct these sessions, 3 times a week. Some of these sessions will be specific to subject matter. Some of these would be more generic, the way we talked about today. Motivation. Okay, that's good to know, Mohit. And you've been there for the last 4 sessions, right? It's good to see you here. Very hard work in the right direction is very important. Absolutely. And this reminds me, as I said, I will share my LinkedIn post for today, because that would be um, having having realistic goals is very important. So mm, yeah, let me just share that with you. And it's just so timely. One also gets an idea where one stands with all others. It's like a community feeling. Yes. Now, regarding that community aspect, I want to understand from you that I have been thinking about uh, creating a community. I would welcome inputs from you with regards to what platforms we should use, what platform you would recommend. LinkedIn comes to mind, but I usually feel that students are not always open about their GMAT journey or their MBA journey, and it's a professional platform, so that may be a deterrent. But I'm open to listening from you, ideas from you as to what could be good platforms to. What platforms would you be comfortable with in terms of us creating a community? Because I would definitely want to do that. Specific insights are helpful, best to solve bottlenecks initially before progressing. Absolutely. And again, I would, these sessions are meant to be open-ended for a specific reason, that we want to learn from you, understand the problems that you're facing, and again, people face similar kinds of problems, right? And we learn from one another when we are in this setting. So yeah. Bhavita, helping you recognize areas where you're losing direction. We didn't hear much from you, Bhavita, today. So again, if you have a specific error log question, definitely, um, uh, definitely fill out that form. e-GMAT should use YouTube and Instagram much more. Yeah, we are not on Instagram at all. Telegram can be an option. You join them while preparing for CAT. Okay. Something about Slack, and then those who want to connect on another platform from there can do so. Okay. All right. That's a So Slack and Teams would be similar then, right? Similar platforms. See, but so good suggestions here. Telegram I've never used before, but yes, I will definitely look into that. YouTube and Instagram, those are not community platforms, right, Mohit? I mean, those again, I feel it's more of one-sided communication wherein we are talking and then you are in that receiving mode. Um, because those are easy platforms for us to be on.
Am I audible?
Yes. And who's this?
I'm
Varsha?
Varsha. Yeah.
Yes, hi Varsha. Yeah.
Hi.
Go ahead.
So yeah, this I've joined the e-GMAT yesterday. So yeah, so I need a mentor and all. I need your help,
Okay.
like to get started with it. I've given a mock a few weeks back, and I scored about like 5.555.
Okay.
So yeah, my target is above 710. So I want
710 as in 715 or 705?
yeah 715.
7:15. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Parth. Bye-bye. Yeah. Off to work. Yes. So Varsha, have you gone through getting started course?
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay. So
Yeah.
what do you not understand from there?
I understood everything, but then
Mm-hmm.
should I go on? I mean, I'm supposed to make a study plan, right?
Yes. Okay. Share
Yeah.
share your email address with me. Yeah. And this is
Uh,
important because again, I getting started course is meant to make sure that you get started automatically, right?
hmm.
Um, but if you are still facing some questions, I want to understand what is it that you are still facing problems with so that we can remove those bottlenecks from the system. So tell me.
Yeah. So as I said, I already gave a mock test. Am I supposed to
Mhm.
give another one?
No,
In
no.
the list it
You,
says that I'm supposed to take e-GMAT mock test or something. Yeah.
okay. Where does it say that? So can you share your email address with me
Sigma
so that
X. Yeah, sure. Should I
Signet,
put it
yeah,
in the chat box?
you can put in the chat box if
Yeah.
you don't mind. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And everybody else, in case you want to step off, you can. Just want to take this on because this is important so that she gets started with the right stuff. Um, so I'm just sharing. I'm just looking at your account here. And Mohit, when you record your video, if you're still here, when you record your video, tell me what is it that you had in mind with regards to using YouTube as a community. I'd like to understand that. So send me two things. One is the GMAT club thing that you were talking about. And secondly, what is it that you are thinking about utilizing YouTube as in terms of community? Okay, Mohit? Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to your videos. And then I'll see you on Thursday. Okay, so here is your account. Okay. Hmm, 1 second. Okay, so this is your screen here. You've gone through the getting started course. So tell me, where is it that you're
Uh,
confused? Hmm?
so as I said, I've given the mock, right? In
Mm-hmm.
the quant section, apparently one of the uh, thing is missing. I mean, uh, it's not shown on my screen. So it says
Mm-hmm.
more data required to analyze or something. So should I take a mock,
Where?
another mock, and like
Where
put in
where
the
does
score?
it say more data required? Sorry.
In the original GMAT mock test I've given before, I'm supposed to fill in the details into the study
Yes,
plan,
yes.
right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the element was missing. So should I
What
give
is
another
missing?
mock? Or,
I don't
uh,
think so. What is missing?
1 second. The
What's your score?
MSR is missing. It's triple
That's
five.
okay. That's
It's all
okay.
right.
Don't worry about it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's absolutely fine. See, as I said, Your quant, verbal, and DI overall scores need to be need to be very precise. Your within quant, within DI, for example, it doesn't really matter a whole lot where you're at in terms of MSR versus GITA. So that's okay. Yeah. And within quant, it's okay. So within quant, you already have your algebra and arithmetic. So it's okay. So go ahead, create your study plan. Okay. And then just follow along the study plan. Okay. And then I would want you to attend Thursday session as well. So were you there for the entire session today?
No, I just joined.
You just joined? Okay. So you joined at the fag end of the session. So what I'll do is I will share the recording of this session. I want you to go through that recording because what I'm talking about here is how is it that you should be going through stage 1 of learning. And I don't want you to make the mistakes that other students have. Okay, so go through that before you get started with the course. Although you've already gone through getting started course, but just want to make sure that you don't make those mistakes. Okay, and then for Thursday session, you may choose not to attend that session. Why? Because it's more of error log related session, which is not something that you need right away. Okay, so I don't want you to attend the session just because it's there. But if you want to drop in and say hi, we'll be here. Okay.
Sure.
All right.
And what
okay,
are sessions about? Are they like weekly conducted?
This is what we call as Coach Connect. And in these sessions, what we do is just go through it's an open-ended. So think of it more like an office hour wherein you can come and ask your questions. We do account reviews over here. We learn from one another. So as you go through this recording, you will be able to see what this session is all about. Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Varsha.
Thank you.
Good luck. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye. Vandana, did you have a question? I know that you've been quiet over here. All right. Okay.